Hello and welcome to episode 7, where we're going to talk a little bit about radio procedures and how annoying accidentally you can be to other people. So I'll put it into context. Imagine, if you like, a sailing boat that's going to come through from the seaside of a town along the river. And the first thing that happens is there is a railway swing bridge in the way. And if you've got a mast that's too tall, you're going to have to get the railway swing bridge open for you to transit through. Once you've done that, you've then also got to negotiate a road bridge that has to be lifted to let you go through. Then a pedestrian bridge that has to be lifted to let you go through. And then the lock. And the locks and all the other bridges are coordinated by a great team of people in Alton Broad. And they go out of their way to help people. I mean, they really do. They're really great guys. And you see them deal with all sorts of things. Professional users, leisure users. It doesn't matter. They're always courteous and nice. But sometimes things get a bit stretched. So today we actually had a sailing boat that came through. And the first thing was they called Alton Broad. And that was the first they knew that the railway bridge needed to be swung. Now, the railway bridge is not manned 24/7, so they have to contact the railway people. Someone has to come and physically go into the railway bridge and open it. So that was all organised and should have been a straightforward thing until those folk had a problem. And the problem was they were operating from a handheld radio. Now, there's nothing wrong with handheld radios. I mean, for certain things, they're actually perfect because you can, if there's one or two of you on a boat, you haven't got to keep going back to one particular point to use the radio. You can put it in your pocket, you can use it. So they should be a positive. That's assuming that they're working properly. And in this case, it wasn't. Now, the trouble with these things, of course, is that you tend to not be too careful with them. And what actually happens is you speak on the radio and then you put it down. At some point today, I suspect very much the button got stuck. Now, there's a few things you have to understand about radios, and they don't necessarily cover this in that exam you all take. When you take that exam, they tell you all the things you need to know about calling maydays and bits and pieces like that. But there's a few essential features of a radio like this. When you push that button, you cannot hear other people. It's what they call simplex, which means that as soon as you press the press to talk button, you are transmitting. Nobody else can actually break in and tell you that something has gone wrong. You have to wait till you take the finger off. Now, the snag, of course, is if that button has got stuck in, then you can put the radio down and all your chat and noises, all the noise of your engine, your conversations are all being sent out there. Now, with a handheld radio, they're not particularly powerful, so it's not probably going to interfere with people over tens of miles away, but it's certainly going to interfere with the people close to you. And that's what happened today. All the local people, me included, sitting in my office here, all we can hear is the radio on the boat. The people in the locks are trying to get in on little bits because, weirdly, it wasn't stuck in permanently. It was sort of jiggling about. So it was transmitting. And to make it worse, it was one of those radios that has the option of sending a Roger beep. And I don't know if many of you have come across this, but quite a few radio systems have radios where you can set a particular mode. So you speak on the radio, and when you take your finger off the button, the radio sends us at the end of the transmission. It lets the other people know you've let go of the button. And in this particular case, because that was going in and out on its own, just laying there on the actual deck of the boat, it was sending constantly. When you get interference like that, if you're a quarter of a mile away and there are two people close to each other, they can just about get over the top of you, because these radios have a very strange feature which is called capture effect. So the strongest signal usually wins. So if you've got two people with radios and they're sort of within a few meters of each other, they're going to be able to talk over the top. Somebody a bit further away won't be able to, and you're just there. So the one thing is, if you can catch it on a bit when it's silent, you might be able to jump in and let them know that your button's got stuck. Happens fairly often. But with a Roger beep, my goodness, it's annoying. In actual fact, it's so annoying that we actually get visitors from the continent. Typically Dutch and German people will come across from their side of the water, and their radios, every time they let go of a button, send a little data burst. So the idea is that your MMSI number that you've got programmed into your radio is sent at the end of each burst. So when you're in a conversation on especially inland waters in Europe, everybody knows who everybody else is, so that when you press a button and when you let go of the button, the people the other end, if they've got the right gear, will know who it was that spoke. Now, we don't tend to use that here, and one of the rules in the current radio licence is if you come in from the continent, you're supposed to turn that feature off, and people don't. So you get a number of boats who come in from continental Europe who leave that feature turned on. It doesn't really do any harm because it's a very quick buzz at the end of each over. But if it's a sort of a conversation that's to and froing, that's a bit annoying. When you get a fault like we've had today with a sticky button that is constantly doing that, the actual result is basically carnage and the whole thing falls to pieces. In this particular example, normally the people at the locks would be able to talk to boats, tell them that the bridge is open and locked and that they're free to come through, and as a safety reason it means that they've got control and they can make sure that people don't move till they're asked. They can tell them to stop if they have to. So safety wise, it's really important that communications works properly, and if you've got a dodgy button then you're stuck. So what we have is a little bit of what happened this afternoon. I have put a beep over the name of the boat to try and anonymise it, so hopefully people won't spot which boat it was that was causing the problem, because I don't think they knew, but it really was chaos.
Station King on Channel 73, Station King on Channel 73. Zoltan Broad, can we help over? Station keep keying up on Channel 73. Station keying up on Channel 73. It's a working channel, please check your radio. Yeah, Mupford, I think it's...
So there we go. Now, if you have a handheld radio that gives you the option to turn off that Roger beep at the end of each over, please use it and turn them off. There's no point having them at all, and they can be incredibly annoying when you actually have to and froing of conversations. So if you have a radio that has the ability to send a Roger beep, please turn it off. It's incredibly annoying when things are working normally. In a situation today, like you get a sticky button, it can be murder. So that's my plea. If you do have these beep beep noises that your radio can send and you've got a menu and you can turn them off, please do, because they make listening to radio so tiring. So there we go. What not to do if you've got a Roger beep radio. Look after yourselves. Take care. See you on the next video.